The Marlins find another way to win a game, and they win another one-run game. The Marlins take down the Giants 4-3 in the opening game of the series. Logan Webb, the Giants ace, couldn't get it done. Jorge Soler with a two-run blast pinch hitting, getting it done for the Marlins. All the reaction to last night's game. Today's Locked On Marlins.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings from England and welcome back to Locked On Marlins. This, of course, is your daily Marlins podcast. I'm your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up on Twitter at @MiamiMarlins_UK. Hit subscribe to the pod. They're free and available everywhere, and it is your team every day. And head over to YouTube as well. You will see the sun is shining here in the UK. It's a glorious day outside. There's a heat wave in the UK, and that's not just the Marlins offense and the Marlins bullpen. No, there's a heat wave here in the UK, which we love to see. Hit subscribe to YouTube as well, guys. Thank you for making Locked On Marlins, of course, your first listen of the day. And also, thank you to the everydayers. If you're an everydayer, let me know in the comments. Heard from a few yesterday. Great to hear from you guys. Love hearing the stories about how you listen to Locked On. Someone was saying, I play the show every day and I fire up Locked On Marlins in the background. Love to hear it, guys. Love to hear it. The Marlins with another dub. Another dub for the Fish. Love to see that. This episode, though, is sponsored by our good friends over at FanDuel. It's the official sportsbook of Locked On. You can make every moment more and visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get yourselves started. The Marlins take the victory, though, last night, 4-3. I was watching the game this morning, of course, as I normally do, for the late games in a weekday. Game was on, and it smelled early like this could be a tough one for the Fish. Coming off being shut out the day before, I was thinking, oh boy, tough matchup here with the pitcher. Ideally, the Marlins wouldn't have been facing Logan Webb. He was due to start on Sunday, but the game was then rained out in theory. I'm not sure how much rain there actually was, but his start ended up being pushed, so the Marlins had to take him on and face him in yesterday's game. Watching the early goings, I was thinking this could be a tough one. Jesus Luzardo as well on the other side was not quite as sharp. It wasn't vintage Jesus Luzardo like we've seen for the majority of the season thus far. So the Marlins, they had to hang tough. They got themselves in some tricky spots in those early innings. They managed to weather the storm. Not just Jesus Luzardo weathering the storm. He had 2 walks, 6 Ks, gave up 6 hits, only going 4 1/3. And then Andrew Nardi doing his thing, coming in, putting out a fire in that 5th inning, and then just carrying that on into the 6th inning. And I must say, this has been one of the key storylines here for the Fish in the early going. It's just these relievers, not just coming in and getting an out or two, but they're being asked to go multiple innings in effect. Andrew Nardi yesterday, 1 2/3, so 1.2 innings there. No hits, no walks, 1 K. Andrew Nardi, after a bit of a tricky start to the campaign, the last few outings have been absolutely sensational, as is this bullpen. But the main point that I was making there is it's just the guys are being asked to do some extra things, go some extra innings, multiple innings at times. And at the moment, it seems to just be all clicking. Like the bullpen has just been so dominant. It's, in the past week or so, they're the number 1 pen. By any metric you want to look at, they are the number 1 pen. This is not Peter Pratt hyperbole. And I mean, I'll throw stats out there or I'll throw claims out there that sometimes they're not substantiated. This one is. The Marlins have the best pen in Major League Baseball in the last week, at least, maybe even longer. Someone can fill in the blanks there, but it's fundamentally the guys are being asked to do more and they are stepping up. Everyone is kind of in their roles slightly. We saw yesterday, Dlyan Floro in the 8th, Puck in the 9th. That feels to be the 8th-9th combo, but we have seen in other games, Skip Schumacher's not afraid to get Dlyan Floro out there in the 7th, if needed, because he's coming up, and he did that against the Phillies. He's coming up to the heart of the order. We need Floro now. This is the time to deploy him. Floro, shockingly, has only given up 1 hit all season, and he almost didn't give that up. Jazz tried to make a massive play for it in center field, I think it was Big Dan Vogelback. He ended up legging out a double. But Dlyan Floro has been immense. Reminder on Dlyan Floro, by the way, expiring contract this season. Very intriguing to see what the Marlins do there. Let's be totally honest, this isn't a flash in the pan for Floro. When he's been healthy, and at times when he's been hurt and working his way back, it hasn't been as effective. But overall, with Dlyan Floro, as a Marlin, he's been outstanding in whatever role you put him in. The question for the Marlins is, what do they do with Floro moving forwards? Some of that will be determined by how long they can sustain this push. The reality is, as you get to the deadline, is it the 1st of August this year? Keep moving the date. Let's say it's the 1st of August. The nearer they get to the 1st of August and the longer they are in contention, then you're going to want to keep hold of Floro, clearly. Should they extend him now? I don't know. There's no reason they can extend him at any time. And we saw that yesterday with Pablito. Pablito, the stud, traded over to the Twins, and he gets his extension, and rightly deserved. You have to say, Pablo, the way he started the season, he's tacked on a few extra, 5, 10, 15, 20 million there, I think. Like, Pablo has been lights out for the Twins. They've obviously traded for him, sending Luis Arias, which we're absolutely not arguing about. What a trade. One of the biggest win-win major league swaps there's probably ever been when you look back on the history. Maybe it will be in terms of the total war accrued by Pablo as a Twin. This is the total war accrued by Luis Arias as a Marlin. I do wonder. I mean, they should be so evenly matched. I'm intrigued to see what the Marlins do with Luis Arias too in terms of the extension. He's in arbitration year 1 right now, so an extra 2 years of control on Luis Arias. Do the Marlins look to do something at some point with him? Could the number be similar? Could they end up, these guys are so kind of entwined with each other now and mirroring each other, maybe just throw out there. I think with Arias, you'd probably want to go like an extra year. The fact that he's a year of service time behind Pablo. And so with that being said, maybe you go, I don't know, 5 years, 90, 5 years, 90, 5 years, 85. Is that going to get it done for Luis Arias? Not sure. Not sure it is. But, think it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me. And absolutely, from what the Marlins have seen thus far, they've got their trade right. They've nailed it. They've got the 3 years of control anyway. But do they want to look to extend that beyond? That is going to be the question. And let's be totally honest, like Arias, he's slumping a touch at the moment. Only 1 hit yesterday. But it was an RBI. And it was an RBI when Jazz was on base. Jazz gets on base. In effect, and actually this was one of the key plays of the day yesterday, actually, the way it played out. Jazz gets on base. He's in the leadoff spot. He's looking to steal. He goes immediately, so he sets off. Coop ends up grounding, but because Jazz had already set off, Jazz, in effect, stole second base. Without that, double play. Gone. Boom. By that move, it doesn't show up on the 40-40 tracker for Jazz because it wasn't an official stolen base, but in effect, it was because of that grounder. He gets to second. What do you then get? Luis Arias steps up. Bang. RBI. Love to see it, Luis Arias. He hit a lot of balls hard yesterday too. Pretty much everything he hits is hard and barreled. No doubt about it. There was another guy that hit a ball really, really hard as well that was barreled, and that cleared the fence. We're going to talk about him and the impact that Jorge Soler is making. But before we do that, guys, let's get into our first ad of the day. And it's our good friends over, of course, at eBay Motors. Hold on a minute. Let's get this queued up. Make sure I get it right. Absolutely love this eBay Motors one. It's a championship orientated one, so that's good. But let's get the graphics pumped. Woo! Look at those graphics, baby. They are sexy. They are Marlins graphics for those watching, and for those that aren't watching and just listening on the pod. Head on over to YouTube, hit subscribe. You will see the visuals, and you will see the eBay Motors teal graphics. I don't know if these are custom for the Marlins, Locked On Marlins pod. I don't know. I don't think they are. eBay Motors, love to see it. And for a championship team, which it sounds like the Marlins could be, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit, or your money back. Can't say fairer than that. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. I went for my Mike B impression almost there with the let's ride. I can hear Mike B doing that. Hope you're well, Mike B, if you're listening. So yesterday's game, that Jorge Soler 2-run bomb. Boy, oh boy, Jorge Soler's tweaked his back recently, which is concerning, I must say. The fact that he missed pretty much half a year, after delivering Soler-like performance. I would say he started 23 even better. He's hitting the ball better. And he's not just looking to just destroy and pull everything for a huge bomb. Jorge Soler is looking like a better hitter. Coming off the bench yesterday, pinch hitting against Logan Webb. Let's not forget, who'd been absolutely cruising pretty much. Logan Webb and Jorge Soler just absolutely drills one to center field. Drills one. Soler has the kind of power that, we haven't really seen since, Adam Duvall used to, he definitely had some length in him, let's say. But I would say it's kind of a bit more Stanton-like with Soler, which is great to see because Stanton's my favorite Marlin, perhaps ever, from 2016 onwards anyway. But having Soler being able to come off the bench and deliver in that spot, huge. I love it. He turned up, took a swing, trotted around, went and sat back down, and was just having fun with Avisail Garcia on the bench then. Love to see it. Massive. But this is indicative of what the Marlins have been doing all the way through in 2023 thus far. They've been blown out in a couple of games, and it's gone wonky. Fine. Park those. In the other games, they're finding ways to win. Scrappy ways. They're coming from behind. I think that's the third time in the last couple of games. They found a way to come late in innings too. Come back and win. Jorge Soler was involved in that recently in Philadelphia. They were down in the 8th. Soler home run to tie it up. They get into extras, win it. This time, Soler, bomb, 2-run bomb, take the lead, bullpen holds. And again, not to labor the point of the bullpen, but I must say, I just have extreme confidence in this pen. It's amazing. It's such a different feeling as a Marlins fan, isn't it? How are you guys feeling? Let me know. Let me know in the comments on YouTube. But for me personally, I'm seeing Floro come out, and I'm thinking, that's 3 outs. I'm seeing Puck come out, and I feel confident. The thing is with Puck, it's even when there's a runner on base, I still feel okay about it. And I almost feel like there's at times where there will be base runners. But Puck, he seems to be able to get it done. He hasn't shied away from the 9th. He's actually seeming to enjoy it. The interesting part too is like we're getting into the year now. And for some reason I thought, Puck, how many saves has he got? Has he had 4, 5, 6 saves? What's he had? He's only had 2 saves and 1 win because of the extra inning game. It feels like he's been out there more often than that and had more saves than that accrued, but only 2 saves thus far from Puck. No blowies and 1 win. Can't say fairer than that. It's been a really encouraging start from the pen. Overall, we're all talking about this pen, which we rightly should. Let's go back to the offensive guys, though, as well, because I want to talk about Jazz Chisholm yesterday as well. Jazz Chisholm, multi-hit day. For the first time in what seems like a few days, it's been a bit of a struggle for him. That Diamondback series was tough. Obviously, he was a little bit tough through the Philly series, too. What we are seeing is a little bit more stolen base activity in that leadoff spot. You just get the sense as soon as Jazz is on, leading off, like it's coming, and everyone can feel that. We saw it yesterday. Steals 1 officially, went to steal third base and would have made it easily, but Coop just slightly fouled the ball off. So Jazz is always looking to threat. He's looking to do some damage on the bases. And like I said, that one play where Coop grounded into what could have been a double play if it was anyone else, potentially. But by Jazz effectively going and stealing that bag, kept the inning rolling for Luis Arias, which is what I mentioned. But a multi-hit day. Spoke on yesterday's pod as well with Sean Barrett. Jesus Sanchez, the pressure's on. Avisail Garcia sits. Jesus Sanchez in. And Jesus Sanchez, multi-hit day for Jesus. It's sometimes about just getting the hits. Sometimes it's about just making contact, getting the ball in play. Skip talks about it all the time. And Jesus Sanchez yesterday, Yes, they weren't blasted off the bat. They weren't, line drives, doubles ringing off the wall, anything like that. No, it was like down the line squibbers and whatnot. But overall, they all matter. They all count. 2 hits and a run. Batting average now up to 174. He hasn't had tons of, this is the thing with Jesus. He hasn't had a ton of opportunities this year. He's been primarily a bench player, filling in a touch when Avi's been missing, or when Jazz has had that, infrequent day off. So he hasn't had a ton. So all of a sudden, if Jesus Sanchez can get hot, who knows? Who knows how it goes? Brian De La Cruz continues to stay hot. He's on, I think, a 5-game hitting streak now for Brian De La Cruz. Hitting a straight up 300 right now. Luis Arias has dropped down to 455. He's slumping, but he's still hitting the ball really hard. Cooper Bloop with a nice blast yesterday as well. Overall, though, yesterday, when you look at it, only 6 Ks, but 0 walks. Going against the ace, 6 Ks, not too bad. And 0 walks, not amazing. But still, they find a way to get it done. Nicky Fortes, though, talked about him yesterday on the pod. It's been a bit of a struggle for Nick Fortes early on in this year. Definitely has. An 0-for-3 day yesterday. 4 left on base for him. Not optimal. Garrett Hampson, looked a little bit lost at the plate. Actually, like there was a big kind of, it was the same pitch 3 times in a row. Big swings, big hacks, outside of the zone. Couldn't make contact. A couple of Ks there for him. But yeah, Soler then came in doing the damage. This Marlins team, this Marlins lineup, it looks balanced. It looks balanced. Gurriel, obviously 0-for-4 yesterday. Not amazing, but some decent ABs as well for Gurriel. Overall, you have to just kind of look at this Marlins team right now and just think, this is that pesky team. This is kind of that pesky team. I think Joey Wendell used that description. They're going to be pesky. They're going to hang around, and they are hanging around. And I think clearly the biggest stat is not just the fact they're over 500 right now, which is great to see. And they've had a tough go. I mentioned the schedule is brutal in April. Sitting at 9-8, so 17 games in, game over 500. They got a negative run differential because they're winning all the close games and they're losing the blowout ones. They're not really blowing anyone out. So that's why the differential is a little bit wonky at this point. But they are 5-0 in 1-run games. I mean, it is just the polar opposite of last season. It really is. And that is the difference as you were looking at going into the year. Can you flip the 1-run games on their head? This team's winning then, 80-plus games? That's the fine margins here for the Fish. And this is even with Sandy Alcantara not winning any games apart from one. 4 starts, 3 of them, they've not been great for Sandy. They haven't. So the Marlins are sitting there 9-8 after a brutal, schedule to get it going. And Sandy's not really contributing over in the main. And that's encouraging in many ways. Like, that is an encouraging situation here for the Fish, where as Sandy clicks in, as Jazz clicks in a bit more, if Avi can click in, if the guys can stay healthy too. This is the other key thing. If they can keep that health rolling, and this team going to make some noise. Giants, for the best part of this week. Then it's another test after that. You're going to be going into on the road, I think, at that point to Cleveland. So that's going to be a tough ask for the Fish. Sandy will be going again in that series, as will Jesus Luzardo. So they're going to have some good pitchers going. You're going to have, I think, Braxton Garrett, Sandy Alcantara, and Jesus Luzardo for the Cleveland series. So the Marlins should be feeling confident about that. The key question is, can they take another series here against San Francisco? Can they? And the Giants always impress me. I always just look at them and think fundamentally they look just a sound team. They do the fundamentals right. They got some heavy platoon spots. Like, they're always a good team. They're a pesky team too. And I think the Giants will be looking at their division and thinking, if we can get it rolling like we did in 2021, they've got every chance. The Dodgers are sitting below 500 right now. The Diamondbacks are leading that division. Padres just got beat last night against the Braves. I know it's really early on, but, the Giants could and should be looking at the NL West thinking, could we make some noise? And that's the question for them. They're 5-10. So it's not being, they're not in the greatest spots, but, overall, they're not being outpaced. It's not the traditional for the Giants where it's like, oh, the Dodgers are 12-4 and they're 5-10. And you're thinking, oh boy, season's cooked. I don't think it's that way. So the Giants will be looking to bounce back in the next couple of games. But for the Marlins, you've got to be thinking, Eddie, Trevor going, can they just continue from the last outings, can they both keep that level? If those boys can continue at the level, for Eddie, minimize the walks, attack the zone, it's what we're looking for. For Trevor, he had everything working last time. Can we just get more of that? Another 6-inning outing from Trevor Rogers, a 6-inning outing from Edward Cabrera. If those boys go 6, there's a good chance the Marlins could sweep the Giants here in the next couple of days. Final ad of the day, guys, and then we will get out of here. It's our good friends over, of course, it's our good friends over at the Ultimate Baseball GM. You know this one for certain. And have you downloaded it? Who hasn't downloaded it? It's a baseball game. It's a baseball GM game, and it's free. Who hasn't downloaded it? Why have you not downloaded it? Right now, if you are listening, get it downloaded. And there's a free boost. Locked on. Use the free boost in there, of course. I'll give you a bit more information, though. I'm just freestyling it for now. But I'm just wondering why you haven't downloaded it yet. But fundamentally, if you like your strategy, you like your baseball, you think you know how to GM a franchise, this game's for you. You manage every aspect of the franchise, playing through seasons and leading the franchise and fans, more importantly, of course, to glory as you build a historic dynasty. In the simulation, you're responsible for everything: hiring the right coaches and staff, managing the finances, scouting and drafting players, managing all those difficult clubhouse personalities and the injuries, of course, navigating the franchise through free agency, all the ups and downs of a season. It is all there for you in this challenging, realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free. Yes, you heard that correct. It is free and it's playable offline, so you can play on the go as you want to, when you want to. Locked On Marlins listeners get 100% free boost. See, I mentioned that, to the franchise when using the promo code Locked On in the game store, so make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up on the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM, start your dynasty today. Oh, man. Got so far, delivered it with aplomb, botched the end. No editing. No edits in this pod. You may realize that. For those everydayers, and I know you're out there, for those listening every single day, you know there's the odd botch from Pete Pratt, but it is what it is. But there's no editing. That's the sign. Like, I want to bring you the real podcast. You know, what actually happens, rather than like you edit it all through and make it look amazing. No, that's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. Maybe it is, I don't know. But nevertheless, guys, I must say, just in summary, and I've done my 75-second rundown, this Marlins team, I just don't even recognize them. I don't recognize them from the past 6 seasons, to be honest with you. Apart from 2020, we're getting to that point here where it feels a bit 2020-like, where they're just eking out wins. The bullpen's doing its thing. Most guys are healthy here, so that's the kind of key difference to 2020, was you were just getting people just drafted in. But the bullpen emerged. I remember the James Hoyt situation. He just kind of appeared and started just being a stud in the pen. And, you know, Boxberger, Kinsler, like these guys in the pen, they just were doing their thing. The rotation was pieced together. Isn't quite the same situation, but I must say this Marlins team, ones we've seen in the past few years, it really is. And I know we had hot streaks last year, and I know we started pretty well. At one point, I think they were like 12-8 early on, and, you know, everyone was getting a bit excited. But this is a different type of Marlins team right now. The way that the offense clicks, there's much more synergy. There's much more. It seems like there's more game plan in there. There's more approach. There's, you know, it's just fundamentally just got some better hitters in there. Like, you strip it away. Donnie called it out last year. There's too many big boys in that lineup last year. There was too many guys trying to hit too many bombs all of the time. And even those guys, this is the thing about Jorge Soler. Even Soler, that is the power hitter and should be a guy they could lean on, he's adjusted his approach. He's hitting baseballs in a different way and in a much better way. He's doing different things, and it's really showing. I spoke about him last week. You know, if this continues, the Marlins have a decision to make. And it's interesting to see if they make it, because he's going to be opting out. So do the Marlins want Jorge Soler as part of this future moving forwards? He's a right-handed stick, a power stick. They have some of those potentially in the organization, like a Gerard Encarnacion, maybe like a Peyton Burdick. Who knows? But are those guys going to deliver the type of production that Jorge Soler can and will? I mean, we hope so. But Jorge Soler at this point, if he's healthy, he's proven what he can do. And actually, it looks like he's improving too. It looks like the Marlins are getting the best out of him, which is impressive. But overall, this Marlins team is unrecognizable. And fundamentally, that is driven by Kim Ang constructing this roster in a different way. And also Skip Schumacher, the principles, the fundamentals, the way he thinks about baseball and gets the players to think about baseball is huge. We also shouldn't neglect from the fact that the clubhouse vibe is different. It's clear that Jazz and Arias, big pals, still big pals. It's clear that Sandy's missing Pablito. Of course he will be. But, this has been one hell of an impressive start for the Marlins. It really has, guys. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. 9-8 with this schedule, with a few guys getting dinged. I mean, we can't forget, Joey Wendell, the starting shortstop, gone pretty much most of the year. The rotation really hasn't been fully up to speed yet. 9-8, cruising along. Love to see it. Thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day, guys. Thank you to the everydayers as well, as I mentioned. Do leave a comment in YouTube if you are listening and joining me every single day. I appreciate it, guys. I'm here for you at least 5 days a week, as you know that. But I, of course, will be back. With that being said, I will be back tomorrow. And hopefully we get a Marlins dub and an Edward Cabrera lengthy start this evening. I'll see you then.